What is India's dilemma over fighter jets? Does India have to adopt the F-35 offered by the US President Donald Trump? What about defense deals with Russia? Whatever plans to acquire Sukhoi 57 dropped? And what is the status of indigenous fighter jets? Is India too dependent on foreign capabilities and technologies? The two foremost fifth-generation fighter aircraft, Russia and US, the Sukhoi 57 and F-35, got a lot of attention at Aero India, which was held from February 10 to 14 in Bengaluru, with the former undoubtedly being the showstopper with its maneuvers. Just as that wound up, the US President Donald Trump, addressing a press meet with Prime Minister Modi, said the US is also paving the way to ultimately provide India with F-35 stealth fighters. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is a single-seat, single-engine strike fighter jet. F-35 Joint Strike Fighter F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is a single-seat, single-engine strike fighter jet with three variants: F-35A, which has a conventional takeoff and landing for the Air Force; F-35B, short takeoff, vertical landing for the Marine Corps; short takeoff, vertical landing for the Marine Corps; and F-35C, carrier variant for the Navy and the Marine Corps. In addition to the US, the program has seen several international partners and 10 foreign military sales customers, and the jets are expected to be in services well into the 2080s. As of January 30, the 2025, 1100 F-35s were delivered, according to the lead contractor Lockheed Martin. With 20 participants in the program, nothing that it wasn't a firm offer yet, and what Mr. Trump meant was that they will look at a roadmap for making F-35 available. Defense Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh said recently that India will look at that offer once it becomes a firm offer, pointing out that there is a protocol to be followed. He said the first requirements have to be raised by the services, and only then the options and offer studied. Options and offer studied. Creating an option of this type is important for us, and we will certainly look it with an open mind. The US Government Accountability Office, which is mandated by the US Congress to review the program, said in a May 24 report the Department of Defense estimates that the development efforts as well as the cost to maintain and operate 2470 planned aircraft through 2088 will exceed $2 trillion. Based on various estimates, the F-35 cost upward of $100 million per aircraft. With armaments and associated cost, India has never operated a US fighter, and an advanced fighter like the F-35 will need new facilities for training and maintenance. It is pertinent to note that in 2010, India and Russia signed a preliminary design agreement to jointly produce the FGFA, now the Sukhoi 57, for use by both countries, after which each had invested $295 million for preliminary design, which was completed in 2013. But the protracted negotiations followed over the high cost and limited technology transfer. One of the limiting factors was that it was a single-seater and the creation of twin-seat variant. The IAF's preference would mean a steep rise in cost. India eventually pulled out of the FGFA project and decided to go with its indigenous FGFA, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft AMCA. It is pertinent to note that in 2010, India and Russia signed a preliminary design agreement to jointly produce the FGFA. What is FGFA? Fifth generation fighter aircraft. It is pertinent to note that in 2010, India and Russia signed a preliminary design agreement to jointly produce the fifth generation fighter aircraft, now the Sukhoi 57, for the use of both countries, after which each had invested $295 million for the preliminary design, which was completed in 2013. But protracted negotiations followed over the high cost and limited technology transfer. One of the limiting factors was that it was a single-seater and the creation of a twin-seat variant. The IAF's preference would mean a steep rise in cost. India eventually pulled out of the FGFA project and decided to go with its indigenous FGFA, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. India eventually pulled out of the FGFA cost and decided to go with its indigenous FGFA, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. The IAF has sanctioned strength of 42.5 fighter squadrons. The IAF has a sanctioned strength of 42.5 fighter squadrons, but it is languishing today at 31 squadrons with a significant proportion of aging platforms. Somewhere India got left behind and stuck in the middle. There's a big gap and major countries have moved forward. China, Russia, and the US have already fielded fifth generation fighter jets, with China recently stealing a march over everyone else as it flew two advanced fighter generation fighters, dubbed by some as sixth generation fighter jet, in addition to the two jets already developed and inducted. Russia suggested that Pakistan is looking to acquire 40 J-35 fifth generation jets from China. In December, the government constituted a high-level committee by the Defense Secretary to chalk out a roadmap for the IAF and address operational gaps. The report, which was scheduled to be submitted by end January, is still in the works, official confirmed. India has an ambitious plan to acquire over 500 fighter jets, a bulk of them variants of the light combat aircraft and the AMCA. Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, and twin seat variant. One of the limiting factors was that it was a single seater, and the creation of a twin seat variant, IAF's preference, would mean a steep rise in cost. India eventually pulled out of the fifth generation fighter aircraft project and decided to go with its indigenous fifth generation fighter aircraft, advanced medium combat aircraft, advanced medium combat aircraft, advanced medium combat aircraft. The IAF has a sanctioned strength of 42.5 fighter squadrons, but it is languishing today at 31 squadrons. With a significant proportion of aging population, somewhere India got left behind and is stuck in the middle. There is a big gap, and major countries have moved forward, noted a senior official. China, Russia, and the US have already fielded fifth generation fighter jets, with China recently stealing a march over everyone else as it flew two advanced fifth generation fighters, dubbed by some as a sixth generation jet, in addition to the two jets already developed and inducted. Reports suggest that Pakistan is looking to acquire 40 J-35 fifth generation jets from China. With China stealing a march over everyone else as it flew two advanced fifth generation fighter jets in addition to two jets already developed and inducted. Reports suggest that Pakistan is looking to acquire 40 J-35 fifth generation jets from China. 40 J-35 fifth generation jets from China. In December, government constituted a high-level committee led by Defense Secretary to chalk out a roadmap for the IAF and address operational gaps. The report, which was scheduled to be submitted by end January, is still in the works, official confirmed. India has an ambitious plan to acquire over 500 fighter jets, a bulk of them variants of the light combat aircraft and the AMCA, that is at least a decade away from the induction. There has been a delay in the deliveries of the 83 LCA Mark 1A already contracted, with 97 more to be ordered. The delay in deliveries has been partly due to engine delays from the General Electric H and HAL now has now assured that 12 jets will be delivered to the IAF this year. There has been delay in delivery of 83 LCA Mark 1A already contracted. There has been delay in deliveries of LCA light combat aircraft. India has an ambitious plan of acquiring 500 fighter jets, a bulk of them variants of the combat aircraft, and AMCA advanced medium combat aircraft. This is at least a decade away from induction. There has been delay in the delivery of 83 LCA Mark 1A already contracted with 97 more to be ordered. The delay in deliveries has been partly due to engine delays from the General Electric, and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has now assured that 12 jets will be delivered to the IAF this year. The orders of the 83 jets will be completed in a 3.5 years. Officials said the more capable LCA Mark II is expected to make first flight in early 26. The AMCA prototype is expected to roll out by end 26 or early 27 and certified by 2032 and inducted by 34. Certified by 2032, inducted by 2034. In addition, there is a proposal for 114 multi-role fighter aircraft to be imported and licensed manufactured locally but has seen no progress in many years. There has been a proposal of 114 multi-role fighter aircraft, 114 multi-role fighter aircraft, 114 fighter-role multi-aircraft to be imported and licensed manufactured locally but has seen no progress in many years so far. With the request of for information issued in April 19, however, given the gap in numbers, the multi-role fighter aircraft as envisaged may now be too expensive and too late to address the crisis. Last October, IAF Chief Air Marshal AP Singh said the MRFA was needed as on yesterday. The MRFA was needed as on yesterday. While several experts and observers paced for two F-35 squadrons as a stopgap. Given the complex processes and timelines, it would be a decade before the jet arrives. The 36 Rafale deal, contracted at $7.87 billion from France in 2016, is a case in point. In addition, India has paid over $1 billion in one-time R&D cost for India-specific enhancement on the Rafales. Speeding up domestic programs is of critical importance, as any new addition to the IAF's already diverse fleet will create a maintenance nightmare and will also take away focus and resources from indigenous efforts. Russian military hardware has constituted a bulk of Indian military inventory, including the IAF, for decades, and diversification began in early 2000s. However, diversification shouldn't mean moving from one dependency to another. As per the current plan, by early 2040, IAF will have 220 LCA Mark 1 variants, at least 120 LCA Mark 2 variants, and initial batch of AMCAs, all powered by the GEF 404 and GE 414 jet engines. GEF 404 and F414 jet engines, a significant proportion of the fighter fleet. GE F404 and GEF 404 and F4 414. 404 and 414 jet engines. 404 and 414 jet engines. The licensed manufacturer of F414 engine, or the new 110 kilonewton engine, likely to be co-developed and co-produced by the France for the AMCA Mark II, would mean that India would be dependent on others for the most of the critical systems. The Indian Aero Engine space for both fixed-wing and helicopters will be powered by France. US and France for the rest of the century, as France co-developed engines power India's indigenous helicopters. So adding new fighters, the tattoo of the highest technological threshold of the US, would surely come with lots of riders, some intrusive and some that could stymie operational flexibility and impact plans on indigenous manufacturing. Why is three-language policy controversial? Why has the center withheld funds to Tamil Nadu under the Samagra Shiksha program? When did the state adopt two-language policy? What is its stand on mandatory imposition of Hindi? And what is the central government's view? How can the issue be resolved? The union government has withheld the 2,000 crore in funds due to Tamil Nadu due to Tamil Nadu under the Samagra Shiksha scheme for refusing to join the Prime Minister's Schools for Rising India PM Schools PM Shri initiative. While Tamil Nadu is eager to participate in the PM scheme, it staunchly opposes the accompanying mandate to implement the NEP 2020. One of the state's core objectives to the NEP is its, is its insistence on adopting a three-language formula in schools. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has rejected any concessions, insisting that Tamil Nadu must align with the constitution. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, questioning which provision of the constitution justifies such mandates, has declared that states will not submit to blackmail or abandon its historically adopted two-language policy. The NEP 2020 has retained three-language formula, a concept first introduced in the NEP of 1968. The key difference, however, is that back then the NEP advocated for Hindi to be compulsory language across the nation. Hindi speaking states were required to teach Hindi, English, and a modern Indian language, preferably a South Indian language, while non Hindi speaking states were expected to teach local regional language. In contrast, NEP 2020 offers greater flexibility, technically not imposing any specific language on any state. It states that the three languages learned by the children will be choice of states, regions, and of course the students themselves, so long as at least two of the three languages are native to India. This means, in addition to the state's language, children would be required to learn at least one other Indian language, not necessarily Hindi. The policy so emphasizes bilingual teaching, particularly in the home language, mother tongue, and English. Conspicuously, it places significant emphasis on Sanskrit as an optional choice within the three language formula. Tamil Nadu has long resisted the imposition of Hindi. In 1937, when the C. Rajagopalachari government in Madras proposed making Hindi a compulsory subject in secondary school, the Justice Party fiercely opposed it. Two young men, Thalamuthu and Natarajan, who participated in the agitation, died and became icons in the anti-Hindi imposition movement. NEP 2020 has retained the three-language formula, a concept first introduced in the NEP of 1968. Key difference, however, is that back then NEP advocated for Hindi to be compulsory across the nation. Hindi-speaking states were required to teach Hindi, English, and a modern Indian language, preferably a South Indian language, while non-Hindi speaking states were expected to teach local regional language, Hindi, and English. In contrast, NEP 2020 offers great flexibility, technically not imposing any specific language on any state. It states that the three languages learned by children will be choices of states, regions, and of course the students themselves, so long as at least two of the three languages are native to India. This means, in addition to the state's language, children would be required to learn at least one other Indian language, not necessarily Hindi. The policy also emphasizes that bilingual teaching, particularly in the home language or mother tongue and English. Conspicuously, it places significant emphasis on Sanskrit as an optional choice within the three language formula. Tamil Nadu has long resisted the imposition of Hindi. In 1937, when C. Rajagopalachari in Madras proposed making Hindi a compulsory subject, the Justice Party fiercely opposed it. The Rajaji eventually resigned and British government withdrew the order. In 1965, as the deadline for adopting Hindi as the sole official language across India approached, the state witnessed violent protests that led to the death of at least 70 people in police shootings or self-immolations. Agitation resurfaced when Parliament adopted Official Languages Parliament Act 1967 and Official Language Resolution 1968, which mandated the teaching of Hindi as part of three-language formula. In January 1968, Madras Assembly, led by the C.N. Durai-led first DMK government adopted a resolution calling for scrapping of the three-language formula and the elimination of Hindi from the curricula in Tamil Nadu schools. Since then, state has steadfastly followed a two-language policy, teaching Tamil and English. Major political parties, including the ruling DMK and the principal opposition party AIADMK, has consistently opposed any efforts to alter this policy. In 2019, backlash led by the Kasturi Ranjan Committee to remove the mandatory Hindi learning class from the draft NAP. Why is the three language policy seen as an attempt to impose Hindi? Political parties and activists in Tamil Nadu view three language policy as a smokescreen and a backdoor attempt to impose Hindi. They argue that in practice, the implementation of the three language scheme would inevitably lead to teaching of Hindi given the limited resources for providing additional language teachers and learning materials. Moreover, union government and prominent BJP leaders have periodically advocated for the promotion of Hindi. In 2019, Union Budget allocated 50 crore to support the appointment of Hindi teachers in non-Hindi speaking states. Critics contend that center's action do not match its rhetoric on promoting regional languages, as evidenced by the lack of efforts to hire adequate regional languages teachers in Kendriya Vidyalayas or to ensure South Indian languages are taught in schools above the Vindhyas. Mr. Pradhan has defended the withholding of the funds to Tamil Nadu, making it clear that adherence to the three language policy is non negotiable. He urged Mr. Stalin to rise above political differences and criticize the state for viewing the NEP with a myopic vision. In response, Mr. Stalin has accused Mr. Pradhan of attempting to impose Hindi under the guise of the NEP's policy. Mr. Stalin has vowed that as long as DMK he are around, Tamil and TN's interest will not be compromised. The only viable solution lies in constructive dialogue and practical compromise between the state and the center and the state on the issues like education, which are transferred from the state to concurrent list during the emergency. Notably, Tamil Nadu, with its long-standing two-language policy, has consistently outperformed many other states in key metrics such as gross enrollment ratio and reduced school dropout rates. Disagreements over the teaching a third language should not be allowed to derail funding for the Samagra Siksha, a comprehensive program for education. How was Vekatan made inaccessible? What are the rules? How do website blocking orders work in India? What can a website do now? The website of the Tamil magazine Vikatan was rendered inaccessible after the BJP leaders President K. Annamalai sent a letter to Murugan, the Minister of State, about IB, complaining about a cartoon featuring Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Trump. Magazine as well as state leaders have condemned. The shackling was a reference to the plight of migrants being deported to the US to India aboard military planes in chains. The depiction of prime ministers hit off a controversy on social media which was further taken up by Annamalai. The Union government did not use any statement confirming or denying that website was indeed inaccessible. The Hindu was able to confirm with four people aware of the order that Vikatan's inaccessibility that it was issued by the MIB. The IB disseminated instructions to the Department of Telecommunications to internet providers and telecom operators, after which the website was not accessible in majority of the networks. Website blocking are governed by the Section 69A of the IT Act 2000. Website blocking Section 69A of the IT Act 2000. The last language broadly empowers the government to block a website in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India's security of state, friendly relations with foreign states, or public order, and for preventing incitement. The blocking orders are confidential and a copy has not been provided to Vikatan or to the public. The IT procedure and safeguards for blocking for access to information by Public Rules 2009 details the operation of these rules, empowering ministries and state government departments to refer to a designated officer under the IT ministry, which then constitutes a committee that takes the decision. If a backlog is directed, the Department of Telecommunication is looped in to send the order to broadband and telecom players. This is different from the framework for removing content within a given website or a streaming service that is governed by the IT intermediary guidelines and digital media ethics code rules, which are regulations under the IT Act, empowering the IP Ministry and IT Ministry to issue emergency orders blocking content on social media platforms. If a blocking is directed, the Department of Telecommunications is looped in to send the order to broadband and telecommunications. This is different from the framework of removing content within a given website or streaming service that is governed by the IT intermediary guidelines and digital media ethics code IT rules 21, which are regulations under the IT Act, empowering the IB ministry and the IT ministry to issue emergency orders blocking content on social media platforms. Since the introduction of secure HTTPS websites, blocking of a specific piece of content within a website is not possible without the cooperation of website's publisher, as internet networks can only see the name of the domain and not what a user is viewing on a given website. Under the 2009 blocking rules, a notice should be sent to the website which is liable to be blocked so that they may make a representation. This can be considered by a review committee. Publishers of VLC Media Player were able to obtain unblocking of their website in 22 after engaging in discussions with the IT ministry. No such prior notice was sent to Vikatan. How glacier ice algae accelerated Greenland ice sheet melting. A new study reveals that dark pigmented microalgae, which contribute to the melting of Greenland ice sheet, are highly efficient at nutrient uptake and growth, allowing them to rapidly colonize expanding areas of exposed ice. Findings suggest that these algae can persist and spread without the need for additional nutrient inputs, intensifying ice sheet darkening and accelerating. Where states asked to use untested AI tool for TB screening, the Central TB Division informed the states in January this year to consider utilizing the Deep CXR tool only when the states reach out to the CTD seeking AI solutions to analyze chest X-ray images. Prime Minister's goal of eliminating TB by 2025. A report submitted by Health Technology Assessment of India Committee in February 24 on two indigenously developed solutions to screen people with presumptive and subclinical TB using AI-assisted checks S-ray interpretation was posted on HTAIN website. The two indigenous developed solutions are QXR from the Bengaluru-based Cure.ai and Genki from Pune's DeepTech. QXR from Bengaluru, Cure.ai, QXR from Bengaluru, QXR from the Bengaluru deep tech. HDA's assessment of a new technology or tool for cost effectiveness and efficacy in terms of sensitivity and specificity is not mandatory. However, the Central TB Division waits for the HTA report and approval by the Medical Technology Assessment Board, chaired by the Niti Aayog, involving stakeholders, including itself, before a programmatic implementation. NET for TB diagnosis was validated by ICMR NIRT. QXR from the Bengaluru based QRAI and Genki from Deep Tech. Central TV division has not included them from programmatic implementation. However, even in the absence of an HT assessment, the CTD has recommended for programmatic induction of the similar to Deep CXR developed by Institute of Plasma Research, Gandhinagar. An ICMR expert committee has approved the AI tool for use under National TB program. Worse, CTD failed to officially communicate to the state that it was recommending the use of Deep CXR tool in the TB program. Instead, the CTD informed the states in end January this year to consider utilizing the Deep CXR tool only when the states reached out to CTD seeking AI solutions to analyze chest ray images, and a 100-day TB elimination campaign began on December 7, 2024. As per the CTD, Deep CXR technology is available for free for use in the National TB program. As per the January-February review paper, The General Neurology in India, the Institute of Plasma Research has trained the AI tool for using 6,000 to 30,000 X-ray images with an overall accuracy of 93% on a test data set. Documents show that AI tool has been trained using 54,000 X-rays and validated by using 14,000 X-rays from multiple datasets. In contrast, there are a number of published studies on large patient populations where the performance of QXR and Genki have been evaluated. In fact, the QXR from QRAI with over 90% sensitivity and more than 70% specificity in people over than 15 years was one of the three AI algorithms that WHO has referenced while updating the TB screening guidelines. The QXR technology has been implemented over 3,100 sites across 90 countries. As per ST assessment, both QXR and Genki have found to be cost effective. The cost per case interpreted is 30 while QXR 22. The importance of using chest X-rays for screening presumptive and subclinical TB cases can only be overemphasized. 42% and 39% TB cases during the National TB Prevalence Survey and TB Prevalence Survey, respectively, were detected only because a chest X-ray was used for screening. Powering a sustainable future. Generating electricity by burning coal leads to considerable air pollution, which affects human and animal health. Recently, Dr. Kirat Singh and colleagues from the Stanford School of Sustainability have shown that in India, nitrogen dioxide and ozone emissions from coal-fired power plants diminish yields of staple crops like wheat and rice. Using quantitative methods, they estimate the annual losses are in excess of 10% in parts of India. This works out to a loss of about 6 years' worth of growth in average yield in recent years. The productivity of our crops has risen due to improved varieties, better irrigation, and mechanization. And this reduction in yield is a point of concern. Wheat is largely grown in the central and northern states, while rice is mainly in southern and eastern states. The amount of coal left in these areas is estimated to last for the next 120 years. Coal fired power generation has been used for India's electricity supply since the introduction of 1920 at Hussain Sagar, Hyderabad, under the Nizam's rule using British equipment. This method is still being used in India with some improvement over the years. We thus need to think of other methods to generate electricity. One method is from the ground to the wind. This involves the use of wind power by placing windmills to generate electricity. 90 windy states of India generate as much as 50 gigawatts of electricity. India is fourth largest wind power maker in the world. Several private companies have installed windmills that produce electricity from urban and rural Indians. The second method is the sun to the land, which uses energy from sunlight. This involves setting up solar panels on houses and buildings or on large scale solar farms. These panels absorb sunlight and convert light into electricity. These solar roofs are already very popular, and central and state governments offer subsidies to those who install solar panels. Third method is block a river and generate power. This involves stopping a part of a river to make electricity, besides offering water for agriculture in areas where the river flows. When a river water is blocked by a dam and then released, the resulting energy is used to generate electric power. The top 5 dams across India generate together as much as 50 gigawatts of hydroelectricity. The fourth is when the river flows into the sea. The review paper published in Nano Research discusses how electrical energy can be produced when river waters flow into seawater, which is saltier. The osmotic pressure difference has been used by Javed Fay at the Center for Clean Engineering Technology, Australia. Likewise, engineers at Penn State, US have generated electricity osmotic pressure differences. India has vast coastline of 7,500 meters where rivers from the west, south and east drain into the sea, and this technology can effectively generate electricity, and here is an opportunity for Indian scientists and technologists to rise to the challenge. Fifth method is to use nuclear reactors for peaceful purposes and generate electricity. Nuclear power plants use nuclear fission to heat water, create steam, and spin turbines to generate electricity. Nuclear power plants use nuclear fission to heat water, nuclear fission to heat water, create steam, nuclear fission to heat water, create steam, run turbines, spin turbines to generate electricity. The set of 8 nuclear power plants in India generate another 3.5 gigawatt of electricity. Given all these, let us give up coal to generate electricity which pollutes the country. Exoplanets' atmospheres show a unique climate. 7,40,000 global deaths from suicides occur annually, and CAR-T immune treatment keeps cancer in remission. From the wings to the center, Rekha Gupta, the 50-year-old MLA who began her political activism with the ABVP in the early 1990s, has now been chosen by the BJP to lead the government following the party's return to power in Delhi after 26 years. Born on July 19, 1974, Nandgarh village, Haryana, Rekha Gupta formally joined the BJP in 2002. She served as the national secretary of the BJP's Yuva Morcha and made her debut in the electoral politics in 2007 as MCD councillor. She was made a national executive member of the party in 2012 and National General Secretary of Mahila Morcha in 2013. She lost assembly elections in 2015 and 2020 from Shalimar Bagh constituency but defeated incumbent Bandana Kumari of the AAP with 29,000 votes in 2025. Ms. Gupta is a non-objectionable face within the Delhi unit as she has not sided with any factions and comes with a strong ground connections, say party workers explaining that leader has a good sense of what the public wants. A quantum phenomena, Majorana 1, Microsoft's new quantum chip may consist of particles with unusual properties that physicists believe could be used to build qubits that are less error prone. In a head turning announcement earlier this week, Microsoft unveiled a new quantum chip called Majorana 1. According to its press release, it consists of 4 qubits made of a new state of matter. Qubit is short for quantum bit, the fundamental unit of operations in a quantum computer, similar to classical bits in conventional computers. A single qubit represents more information than a single bit. A quantum computer heightens the advantages of this ability using quantum phenomena like superposition and entanglement to solve complex mathematical problems in fewer steps than perhaps the most powerful conventional computer. Quantum computers differ depending on their choice of qubit. For example, Google's Willow chip uses small circuits that mimic the properties of atoms in a quantum state. Microsoft has said its new chip called Majorana 1 Majorana uses Majorana particles, elusive subatomic entities supposed to appear in materials called topological superconductors. These particles have unusual properties that physicists believe could be used to build qubits that are less error prone and designs Google and IBM use. Topological qubits can win if and only if they turn out to be so much more reliable that they leapfrog the earlier approaches. University of Texas at Austin professor Scott Aronson wrote on his blog, "Whether that will happen is still an open question, to put it extreme mildly. If you cool some water vapor, it will become water and then ice. If you keep lowering the temperature until near absolute zero, the system will have minimum thermal energy, allowing quantum states of matter to show." In 1970s, Michael Kosterlitz and Thouless found that the surface of a superfluid helium sometimes developed microscopic vortices and moved in pairs. When they raised the temperature, the vortices decoupled and moved freely. It was a new kind of quantum phase transition. The object's topological attributes changed in response to changes in energy. Topology is a study of properties an object retains when it is deformed continuously. Topology is the study of properties an object retains when it is deformed continuously. Example, when it's stretched but not ruptured. Topological materials are materials with topologically protected states, and the protection keeps the state stable against impurities or small disturbances. For example, a vortex in a bucket of water will fade as it loses kinetic energy. But vortices in a superfluid helium are topologically protected. With the right internal conditions, they will keep spinning. Only quantum physics allows this. Similarly, topological superconductors are materials whose ability to conduct an electric current without resistance is topologically protected. The signature of a topological superconductor is its ability to host Majorana particles. These materials are not found in nature. Instead, scientists, engineers, and engineer them in the lab to have combustion of internal properties that allows Majorana particles to exist. Microsoft has reportedly used indium arsenide and aluminium. But since the announcement, independent experts have asked whether the new chip really has Majorana particles. Many previous attempts, including some sponsored by the Microsoft that claimed to have found these particles, were later overturned by further scrutiny. Microsoft press release and also claimed that a paper simultaneously published in Nature provided peer-reviewed confirmation that its team has created Majorana particles for the use as qubits, but the paper authored by the same team stated that the work therein didn't test whether the particles were really Majorana. Microsoft researcher Chetan Nayak and later clarified on Mr. Aronson's blog that the team submitted the paper to Nature in March 24 and the team have continued to make progress in the intervening year. Contradiction still subtracted from confidence in the Microsoft's claim because it had leaped from a paper describing older work to a press release making new claims. This is a familiar problem when the private sector does cutting edge research. Its need to protect IP may prevent it from sharing all the information necessary to confirm the validity of the claim at the expense of doing right by the research community whose approval it seeks. For now, the scientific information opinion about the alleged prowess of Majorana 1 is uneven, but also mostly skeptical. Microsoft thus has lot to gain or lose by showing the chip at work, but its actions may have left it with a little choice. So that's all in this one. See you in the next.